Welcome to another episode of Intuition First podcast with your hosts, Heather McKay and Christine Mira. We're here to connect you to your intuition and the gifts of the universe to get more out of your life and your business.
Hey, everybody. Welcome to another episode of Intuition First. I'm Heather McKay.
Christine Mira here. Howdy.
Howdy. Happy to be with you all today. Today we're going to talk about when people talk about themselves, why do they only talk about their past or their future, but they don't really talk about the now? What's that about? What do you think? You ever know people like that?
Well, the people that I know that talk about their past, meaning like, oh, I used to have a house in 1985. I lived in San Diego on this corner and my house was so amazing. Do you want to go see it? Or, when I make X amount of dollars in the next 5 years, I'm going to go do this.
But they never talk about what's going on right this minute.
Right.
It's always from the other perspective. Yeah,
people who live in their history of their lives, it always seems like it was so much better back then than it is now. Right. So what that really speaks to, for me, what it indicates is that they're really unhappy with their present life.
Right.
So when they talk about their future, about what's going to be created, they're not really happy with what's happening right now.
Right. Like their happiness is coming down the line.
It's in the future.
It's always just out of reach.
And or
behind them.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. So I've dated a couple of guys who would always tell me about, this or that, or, let's go by, like, we'd be driving. Let's go by and look at it now. You want to go see it? And it's like, okay. I mean, I remember my first boyfriend that did that. I was like, okay. So we drove by the space and it was like, okay, it was a house. And we drove by and it just looked like a house. And then, he would have all this flood of memories about how good it was and the life he lived. And, but as far as I knew, he was always in upheaval, from marrying the wrong woman to having a couple kids that he couldn't afford, to losing a job, to getting another job, to getting his car confiscated. I mean, it just was like constant chaos. And so he would always talk about his history as if it was something to impress me by. And, oh, those were the days. Because presently he just couldn't get it together.
Well, and forgetting that he's the one with the emotional connection to his past. You don't have any emotional connection to his past. So why would you get invested in his past? Even if you think, oh, that sounds cool or whatever.
So here's the thing, ladies and gentlemen. That's a huge red flag. And someone who's projecting about their future and all they can talk about is into their future and what it's going to look like someday, that's a big second red flag.
Well, I mean, there's a difference, I think, in planning and visualizing what you would like for your future, and then only, quote, living in your future or your past. You know what I mean? Like if you want to visualize your goals, if you want to, manifest your future or whatever, it's different.
That's a different conversation, right?
It is different, right? Yeah.
Right. So it's like somebody saying, yeah, I'm going to get that, $70,000 car and they're working a job that just can't manifest that. But, and when I get it, life's going to be so good. My life's going to be so much better. It's going to be. That's a big red flag. Why do I bring that up? Because so many of us get caught up in people's stories. And sometimes they make us feel sorry for them, or we like, oh, you just had a bad break, or life hasn't treated you well. Let's give you a pause. And all it does is, from my experience, all it does is just suck you down the drain with them.
Yeah.
And you being empathetic and feeling sorry for them and wishing that they could have had a different experience. That's not for you to take care of, but it is
Right.
it is an opportunity for you to witness and to listen into that, going, because
Right.
all my friends that I hang out with, we don't talk about. I mean, we might talk about our history, like, hey, here's a story that reveals a little bit more about me, but it's not usually not based in material things, right?
Yeah. Well, yeah.
And and so many times people who are empaths always feel sorry for people who have hard luck. It's like an unwritten rule that if you're an empath and you see somebody that's got hardship, you need to get right down in there to help them out, to help them not stop, to stop suffering.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I know what you mean, because you feel bad for them for what they've gone through, and you do want them to have a win. Like, it's just part of, I think, who you are, and you have to be careful not to let yourself get wrapped up in that.
I
I
spent
mean,
close to
it's okay to hold space, it's okay to listen, it's
I
okay to be
I,
sympathetic, but you
I
have
gave
to.
up 10 years of my life by being with a man like that from my early 20s to my early 30s.
Well, I didn't say you stay with them, but
No, but I'm just saying, like, that was the lesson, was
right.
the lesson to be aware. Like, I knew and I saw the things, but I kept thinking, oh, he's just had such a hard life from his ex-wife to his mom.
Oh,
If
right,
he's
right.
with somebody like me who really loves him and can create a safe space for him to grow and be nourished, no, it just was more chaos. It was more chaos, just more of the same, and financially it took me down. And so um no one ever told me about that. Nobody ever told me that, hey, if somebody is
Just
loving their past and their history,
dwelling in
and
it.
that's dwelling, yeah, and they just keep
Mhm.
bringing it up, like, that's a sign of not being mentally balanced.
It Yeah, I would agree. Like, there's a difference between getting to know somebody and learning about their past or what they've been through,
Yep.
and them constantly reliving it and just sitting in it all the
Right.
time,
Right.
or
Or
projecting into the future all the
mhm,
time.
yep.
There should be a balance for a normal healthy person. There should be a balance, like, of goals and dreams for the future, and here's what happened in my past, here's who I am as a person, but you shouldn't be in either of those places all the time,
Right.
right?
Right.
Yeah.
And so a lot of people who reminisce about their history or they project into their future, what they're really telling you right now is, I'm not happy, I don't like the way my life is, I can't cope, and I need a distraction. So the two guys that I've had this experience with, they had substance abuse issues, right?
Mhm.
They drank. One guy drank, was an alcoholic. The other guy liked to smoke a lot of pot. So if you have that combination, it's just a warning sign. You go down your adventure however you want it.
Right.
Just know that it's challenging and probably non-productive in the sense of you like living in your life normally.
Yeah.
But there'll be some lesson for you if you decide, like I did. You decide you're going to have that experience. I decided as an empath, oh, I felt sorry for them. I could, if somebody like me loved them,
You
oh
could
my
fix
gosh,
them.
yeah, I
They
could
would be
fix them.
changed.
They would
Right.
see, they could get nourished. And
Mhm.
my lesson from all of that is, um, nope, not true. Uh,
Wasn't happening.
it also, an empath always feels valued by how they rescue someone.
Yeah.
And your love is just so special and so different. And then you couple that, layer that in with a narcissist, because a narcissist is going to feed into that and say, you are so special and I'm really up all about your world. Here,
Right.
let's see how many different ways we can massage that. And so that's why empaths really get chewed up and spit out when they're with the
Yeah.
narcissist, because the narcissist has love bombed them in such a
Right.
way that they're like, I'm so special, they get me, and then when they decide to discard you, you're like, ow,
Yeah, that rejection hurts twice as bad.
Right. And you're emotionally entangled now. So
Yeah,
now you have to
right.
separate your energies. You got to
Yeah.
own what's yours and own what's theirs, and understand what the lesson was and why you came together. Um,
Right.
but that's a initial sign, is someone talking about their history all the time.
Yeah.
I mean, not like, I'd say like 50 to 60% of the time or more, they're talking
Right.
about their history and how great life was back then and this and that.
Yeah.
And the truth of
Th-
it is, it probably wasn't.
this is not like when you tell stories from high school because you tell stories from high school. It's
Yeah.
because something was fun or whatever. This is on a different level.
Well,
Yeah.
it could be like the guy in high school who was the football jock, who just talks about
Well,
all the games and the glory and the
oh yeah.
cheerleaders and the homecoming. And gosh, high school was so great back then.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, and some of that is okay, but 50 or 60% is not. That's not the same thing.
Yeah. I mean, it's a reference, like,
And are they doing anything to grow presently? Like, are they learning anything? Are they trying anything new? Are they experiencing anything new? Are they reading anything new? Are they doing anything to increase their self knowledge, self awareness,
right.
their world, expand their world? How are they moving forward in the world right now
Right.
versus what they say they want to do in the future, or what they say they did in the past that they're so enamored with?
Right.
What is the now for them? What does that look like? And you really, I mean, especially if you're dating, I mean, you have to take stock of that like right away, because if you don't, you could end up on that path. You
You could be
could.
23 and end up with the guy for 10 years and be
That's true.
33 and go, what did I do?
Right. So really, yeah, and it's a really good lesson for young people, because nobody does tell you that for sure. And you date some guy in college or shortly after or in high school even, and it's like
Yeah. So
they're emotionally stunted. They don't
here,
ever move
here's
forward.
the thing that many parents, like, they just throw their kids out and, hey, go figure it out. You'll figure it out. And there were some tools I wish I would have had.
Oh
Right.
yeah.
Um, so here's the thing that's my indicator, because I had an amazing marriage with an amazing man, and it was incredible. And the difference is how they go, oh well, you have to fight, that's you, both of you growing and healing and getting over your stuff. um and the truth of it is, if you're really compatible with somebody and love is the main course of your experience, that feels expansionary, and it's growing, and the heart
Right.
lifts and it breaks open. um but all that other stuff about, oh, you're my soulmate because we're just going through so much, and our arguments, they mean something, and we're really building a strong foundation, I say bull hucky, because
Yeah.
that's not what love is. Love is not about, having to feel contracted or apologizing or feeling your heart in contraction, or you feeling angry or feeling upset, or saying terrible things to each other. That's not, it's a form of a relationship, but it's not a healthy or productive one. And when people are emotionally and mentally unbalanced, it's not your job to fix them. Right. It's your job to show up as a whole human being, and it's their job to show up as a whole human being, so that you can each bring to the party the goodness of what it is about
Right.
you. The other person doesn't fill you up, can't make you happy. All they can do is come into the friendship or the partnership as a friend. And if it turns into a more loving, amorous relationship, awesome. But the thing about romantic love is these all of these ideas and conditions that we think it's supposed to do for us in our lives,
Right.
and it's not supposed to do anything for our lives except expand it, for us
Right.
to
It's supposed to
feel.
be an enhancement.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Not dragging you down, not pulling you down, not belittling you, not making you feel small, not discarding you, not, I can't make a decision, I don't know. Well, you know what? If he or she doesn't know, then okay, just take that as, market data. Like, okay, moving on, because that person's
Yeah.
never going to know. So if you are in any of those kinds of entanglements, understand what something healthy looks like, understand what a
Right.
healthy person looks like, so that you can experience that in relationship. And in the meantime, you can bypass a lot of the, chaos and
Right. And that's
pain.
not to say that, marriage is communication and compromise a lot of the time. And that's not to say that you won't have disagreements. That's not to say that you
Nope.
wouldn't have any fights or, anything like that. But at the base of it all should be a loving foundation, right?
Right.
And you are coming, even if you're can't agree on something and you're trying to come to terms with it, at the base of all of that is love.
Yes.
So,
And love does not mean pain. you know,
right,
Sometimes people are like, oh, they really love me, but like, guys, I feel terrible. Love
right,
is not about pain. Love
right.
is joy, and
Yeah.
it's about supporting each other and wanting the best for each other and having respect for each other. So,
Right.
um,
And the bad thing is there's a lot of damaged people out there. And sometimes it can be really deceiving. You sometimes it's hard to tell who is a healthy person who would bring healthy, you know.
if someone's being mean to you, like that's such a big
Oh, well, of
indication
course.
of,
That's easy.
yeah, yeah,
But
and
if
and I'm not talking about overt meanness.
right.
I'm also talking about just their behavior.
And you watch
Like,
how they treat other people.
yeah.
That's a real
Oh, that's
telltale
a good one.
sign.
In the restaurant, in a
Oh,
restaurant.
yeah, the servers and things
Yeah.
like that. You watch how
Yeah.
they treat other people.
Yeah.
And um, down in the South, they always told us, you watch how they treat their mom.
Right.
If it's a man, you watch how the man treats his mom
The,
and how he speaks to her and how he, their relationship. And you just pay attention to that and
yeah, my
take note.
husband loved his mom, and he like just adored her and did whatever he could to make her life easier. Like, he bought his parents a car, and he bought,
Right.
he would give them physical things, and
Yeah.
he would take her shopping. She'd have to
Yeah.
go to the mall, or she'd need to go grocery shopping, because his dad was sort of a cantankerous guy. And,
Yeah.
so his mom didn't want to ask. And so she
Yeah.
would just ask my husband. And yeah,
And I guess that's because it's the first woman that a man is in contact with is their mother. So that relationship is an imprint of how a lot of times how they're going to feel about and treat the women in their lives
well, if a
going
man
forward.
treats his mom well,
Yeah.
a grown man treats his mom well,
Yeah.
well, we have a pretty good guy there.
Probably so. So I don't know if that's a Southern thing or if that's everywhere or whatever. I mean, I think it's true, but I don't know if I only heard that because I'm, from
No, no,
the deep
no.
South.
It's been here. I mean, at least in my circle.
For you too. Okay,
Yeah.
good.
So cross cultural
So
type, and
yeah.
geographical areas.
So if
Yeah.
you've never heard that, that's a good one to remember.
Yeah, I think, we are all becoming more awake. And
Yeah.
I think our children, because we've taught them these things, I hope that they have a better toolkit to be able to, accept or reject people in their lives. Because, man, for me, the first, 25 years, it was like a hit and miss thing. And I tell you, my spirit got bruised.
Yeah, it happens for sure.
Yeah. So anyway, we just thought we'd have that little discussion, because it really does speak a lot, in the sense of, who you might be in front of, and
Right.
who you may be considering to spend a lot of time with.
Right. And it can really make a difference if you making a different choice can make a huge difference in the time you spend with
Yeah,
that relationship.
time is precious, and
Time is precious.
I just had a conversation with somebody, where a friend had really disappointed me, and I decided, after 22 years of friendship, like I was done. There just been too many little things that were nicking at me. And this one friend said to me, well, you better be careful. You might not have any friends left. it took me back, it was like, what, I should stay in a toxic relationship and be treated poorly? I'd rather be alone than have that. So
Yeah.
I'm just bringing that up as a benchmark.
Yeah.
Some people believe, oh, you should put up with everybody's unkind, inconsiderate, thoughtless ways of being in the world, because you might be alone. You have the fear of being alone, alone, alone. And the freedom in that is, when you like yourself, when you have self-respect, self-love, self-acceptance, all of that, then you don't need to hang on to ugly people in your life.
Yeah.
Because I'd rather be alone.
Right.
Or,
and you can look at yourself in the mirror and feel good about
or
about being true to yourself.
all one. You can be alone, or you can be all one with source.
Oh, I like
God,
all
goddess.
one.
Yes.
I like
all
that.
one.
I like that.
So anyway, food for thought.
Yes, take that into consideration. Well, this has been a great conversation, and we'd love for you to let us know what you think. Give us a follow on Spotify or subscribe on Apple. Leave us a comment or a review. We would love to hear what you liked and what you'd like to hear more of, and share this message if it resonates with you, for sure.
Yeah, we need people in our community. Come on, leave some comments, subscribe, hit the big red button on YouTube.
Yeah,
So,
absolutely. Hit the bell.
Okay.
Well,
Thank
we
you.
will talk to you next time. Thanks for being with us today. Bye-bye.
Bye. Thanks for joining us for this episode of Intuition First. We're so glad that you chose to spend your time with us today. If you know someone who could benefit from this episode, please share it with them and tag us on Instagram at Intuition First. We'd love to hear what you enjoyed and what you'd like to hear more of. And until the next time, keep listening to your intuition. It really knows what it's talking about.